Well, good day and welcome to Impact News. We bring you the news, as you know, from around the neighborhood and all around the world. Folks, I just want to start with black incarceration, okay, because it's a big deal. Folks, black adults in the U.S. are more likely to have had multi-generational family members incarcerated. That is the word from a study done at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Folks, black adults, let me say that again, are more likely to have had more family members incarcerated and to have had family members from more generations incarcerated. Oh, they're just locking us up. We know that, though, because we all are in our families and we know what's going on. The study is published in the journal Demography. It was conducted by researcher Youngmin Yi. Yi found that 60% of black adults have experienced an immediate family member's incarceration, folks. 53% have experienced extended family incarceration, and 74% have experienced either of those events. It's a disgrace. And when it comes to white America, on average, white respondents report having 0.75 immediate and 1.17 extended family members ever incarcerated. We know that, because we know that if they pick up a black kid and a white kid, they're going to let the white kid go home to make sure he can go to college or whatever he is trying to do, and they're going to lock the black kid up. And we're sick of it, just like we're sick of all this mess. So the GOP might be trying to take us back to Jim Crow. Folks, we're not going, and we're going to fight like dogs, and they're going to lose, because they always do, because their heart is just not in the right place. And when I say the GOP, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the faction of the GOP that's the white nationalists, white supremacists, white separatists. That's who I'm talking about. And there's no room for anyone like that in a democracy, which is why they're trying to tear it down. So stay with me. I'll be right back with your news. Thank you for staying with me for your news for the week. Folks, a black woman was arrested for shoplifting in Texas. The problem is she had never been to Texas in her life. Yeah, okay. All right, 31-year-old African-American Julie Hudson, who is currently a PhD candidate, yes, okay, was arrested and jailed for a week, if you could believe that, after the mistaken identity. Here's how it all played out. Hudson was repeatedly rejected by potential employers as background checks showed that she had a criminal record. So she went to her local, she's in Philadelphia, she went to her local Philadelphia police station to see if she could get that fixed, but instead she was arrested. Yes, she was. She was taken into custody based on an arrest warrant sought by police in Webster, Texas. So clearly, when she told them she had never been to Texas, they still held her for a week. Why? Probably because she couldn't make bail, which is why they're trying to revise and to modernize the bail, because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's move on. Your racism could cost you, so beware, racist, all right? A black woman is $1 million richer, folks, after a store clerk in Oregon told her, "I don't serve blacks." Okay. It all came about after gas station attendant Nigel Powers ignored Rose Wakefield's request for service, but assisted other customers. Rose Wakefield filed a racial discrimination lawsuit against Jackson's Food Stores. That's where it all happened, and she won. Wakefield had complained to the company, but a district manager at the company told her in a letter that they did not have an audio recording of the interaction. I mean, even in-store video cameras don't record audio, so stop. I guess they'll be rethinking that strategy in the future. Let's hope so. Got to be smart enough to rethink it. That's kind of the problem we're having. All right, moving on. Howard University is making HBCU history, folks, after a $90 million contract was awarded Howard University by the Pentagon. All right, most of the funds go towards engineering, research, and development in the field of, are you ready for this? Tactical autonomy in support of critical Department of the Air Force and Department of Defense missions. Go Howard. That's right. The partnership is expected to diversify the pool of scientists and engineers who work with the Defense Department. Good news there. Then rapper Travis Scott, folks, he's opened applications for his $1 million emergency HBCU scholarships. Now, it's Travis Scott's Wayman Webster Scholarship Fund. We've talked about it before. It's for HBCU students in their senior year who are facing financial challenges and trying to graduate on time. Both of Travis Scott's parents are HBCU grads. His sister is an HBCU grad, and his brother goes to an HBCU right now, all right? But guess what? Oh, that Travis Scott, he's something. The scholarship fund is named after his grandfather, whose name is Wayman Webster, who attended Prairie View A&M Graduate School, folks, and served as its dean. All right now. All right, moving on. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is facing a class action lawsuit over high PFAS levels in its Simply Orange juice products. Yeah. Ugh. All right, according to the lawsuit, Coca-Cola Company falsely advertises its Simply tropical juice products as all natural when, in fact, the juice products contain dangerous levels of PFAS chemicals. As we all know, PFAS chemicals carry a number of known bad side effects, and they're very bad for your health. Over the past year, consumer class action lawsuits have also been filed over high levels of PFAS in products, including McDonald's food wrappers, cosmetics, and other food containers. All right, meanwhile, some farmers in Maine, including some of its 300 certified organic farmers, well, they're very worried. They don't think they're going to be able to fend off pests in their crops in the future. All right, that's because Maine is the first state of the nation that is banning pesticides that contain forever chemicals or PFAS. And that means more than 1,300 pesticides will be taken off the market in Maine. That ban goes into effect in 2030. You should also know that Maryland and Massachusetts, they are also considering a pesticide ban, but only on pesticides that are used in aerial mosquito spraying. We're working on this PFAS. All right, also, guess what? 267 million people worldwide are at risk from sea level rise, and all of them live on land less than 2 meters or 6.6 feet above sea level. 62% of the most at-risk land, you should know, is concentrated in the tropics, with Indonesia having the most amount of land at risk worldwide. And then we also know that the worst impacts of sea level rise will hit earlier than expected. A new study finds the biggest increases in flooding are going to occur after 2.2 meters or again 6.6 feet of sea level rise. That flooding is going to cover more than twice as much land as older elevation models predicted. For example, a 2 meter or a 6.6 foot increase in sea level rise could put most of Bangkok and its 10 million residents, below sea level. That would not be good. Older data suggested that Bangkok would still largely be above mean sea level under the same amount of sea level rise. The previous underestimates of land elevation mean coastal communities have less time than they thought to prepare for sea level rise. Get ready, it's coming. All right, then good news from the scientists at the Pacific Northwest Lab, the National Lab. They've apparently developed a technique that can pull carbon dioxide out of the exhaust of a power plant of a factory. That's very important, for the cheapest cost ever reported. They can do it for $39 per metric ton. Now, you should know that globally, industrial processes are responsible for 31% of total greenhouse gas emissions, and electricity generation is responsible for 27%. Let's take a look now at the diaspora. We're going to go over to Antigua, where the Attorney General there may recommend the end of flights transporting Africans to Antigua and Barbuda via Antigua Airlines. Apparently, there are concerns about exploitation. Now, the government says many of the arrivals from Africa are coming into Antigua. They have no accommodations and no clear plan for employment or supporting themselves. So we'll see what happens there. Then the FBI is joining with Jamaica to help probe that massive fraud case that targeted Usain Bolt. The case involves Kingston-based private investment firm Stocks and Securities. Somehow $12.7 million belonging to the iconic, renowned, legendary sprinter Usain Bolt has gone missing. Yeah. The fraud reportedly went on for 13 years and also ensnared elderly clients and government agencies. Folks, it is one of the island's largest fraud cases. Apparently, clients were given false statements regarding their balances as part of the alleged fraud. Now, if you've watched that documentary Madoff on Netflix, that's exactly what Bernie Madoff did. Just false, 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 false. It's disgraceful. Moving on, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says Africa will shape the world economy as the U.S. re-engages with Africa. Yellen completing a 3-country tour of Africa. It began in Senegal on the continent's west coast. Also, it took in Zambia. Her visit is the beginning of the Biden administration's efforts to rebuild ties with Africa. And of course, this is in light of China's rapidly increasing economic presence in the world's second largest continent and Russia's military and diplomatic foothold in parts of it as well. Africa, is the world's largest single trade area by number of countries. And of course, there are 1.3 billion people there in Africa. It has a young population, it has a burgeoning middle class, and it is expected to be home to 1/4 of the world's population by 2050. And get this, 55-year-old Ryan Now, the head of Pro Hunt Africa, was out trying to kill more lions. Oh, but the lions flipped the script on him, folks, okay? Instead, the trophy hunter was eaten alive by one of the lions in the pride he was hunting. That's right. The trophy hunter is well known on Instagram as the Lion Hunter. He posts videos of his hunts, pictures showing his successful hunts, meaning his successful kills. And I guess the lion said, I don't think so, no more. Because the lions killed him, ate him, but do you know they left his head intact? They're letting you know. We're gonna let you know who we're killing. Don't try that stuff again. Oh yeah, those are your stories. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Thanks for joining me. Stay with me. I'll be right back with Missing, Ask Dr. K, the International Report, the Financial News, and the Slay Word. It is time for your Slay Word of the Week, so you, of course, can level up that vocab and keep improving yourself. And the word this week is wangle, W-A-N-G-L-E, wangle. It is a verb. That means it gives action to the noun. Its origin, its first known use was in 1888. That's right, folks. All right, the definition is to adjust or manipulate for personal or fraudulent ends or to make or get by devious means. We're going to use that in a sentence. That's easy, okay? She managed to wangle her way into Rihanna's party. Okay, how about this one? Donald Trump, his family members, and of course his minions tried to wangle the government policies to benefit them and only them. But it's not working. Oh well. All right, wangle, to adjust or manipulate for personal or fraudulent ends or to make or get by devious means. That's your Slay Word of the Week. Use it all week and level up your vocab.
Anyone who thinks that slavery ended in the 1860s with the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation are grievously wrong.
If we caught a bird, we ate through the feathers and ate the bird. We didn't have nothing to cook on. We didn't have no stove. You know who you are and who we are.
We're still on that big plantation.
She was bonded to them until they died. She was their slave.
They said, well, we're going to be killed tonight.
Could that same white dude keep terrorists there? Or Russian spies? Or the KGB? And the government wouldn't know it? No.
They thought I was beat so bad that I couldn't do nothing, but I did.
Where are you, Mercedes Crumpton? We are out there looking for you, and we want you to know we will not stop until we find you. And with the community's help, we will. 13-year-old Mercedes Crumpton was last seen on a Friday on the west side of Chicago, Illinois. She was spotted in the 800 block of South Keeler Avenue. Mercedes regularly wears a black dress and black furry sandals. She has a scar on her nose and wears long braids. Mercedes is 5'5". She weighs 100 pounds and has brown eyes and black hair. Please call Chicago police with any information about Mercedes Crumpton. are you? We're out there looking for you, and with the community's help, we're going to find you. We are back with your international report, and Dr. Inyang Ebon-Harstreck joins us, and I understand you have news of Haiti today.
Yes, Carol. Haiti always strikes me as one of the saddest Caribbean islands. And as you know, it's been going through a terrible time. Its last president got assassinated, and the current president is barely holding on to the levers of power and the controls of the state. Basically, you are having a situation in which gangs have multiplied and are running and vying for land in the city. So, you know, as my article starts out, the men came before sunrise, burning and destroying everything in their path before they reached Sarah's sheet metal home in the impoverished Port-au-Prince neighborhood, Cité Soleil. Then they broke down the door. And the rest is obvious what happens. And basically, this woman is looking for justice. And what has happened is that people like the UN are saying there has to be a sense of justice. There has to be justice given. But what is happening is that the state is broken down. So for the state to carry out the trials, et cetera, for the police to capture the criminals, you have a situation which is not functioning properly.
It's just so sad. I mean, we all know that Haiti is a place where the French have basically sucked the life out of it for more years than I can count, you know, and it's just difficult for that country to put itself together again.
Right.
Very
I mean,
important.
it says here the country no longer has any elected representative as it held its last elections in 2016. And the administration of the acting prime minister, Ariel Henry, who took office 2 weeks after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in July 2021, faces a crisis of legitimacy. They don't see him as the legitimate president. Who voted for him?
Well, we understand that. So hopefully, you know, some assistance, some help will come to Haiti. Thank you so much, Dr. Inyang Ebon-Harstreck. We thank you so much for bringing us the international report. You stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
Okay. Thank you very much, Carol.
Well, it's time for your financial news. Of course, we know we always have to follow that money. So let's see what's going on. First of all, the Department of Justice, it has new guidance out for discharging your federal student loan in bankruptcy, okay? It's a 16-page memorandum. It was developed with the Department of Education, and it advises the Department of Justice attorneys to, quote, recommend to the court that a debtor's student loan be discharged if 3 conditions are satisfied. Number 1, the debtor presently lacks an ability to repay the loan. Number 2, the debtor's inability to pay the loan is likely to persist in the future. And number 3, the debtor has acted in good faith in the past in attempting to repay the loan. So think about that, and let's see what happens with Biden's student loan debt relief. But that's potentially going to be one of the things on the table to discharge your student loan. You just have to file for bankruptcy protection and make sure you fit within that criteria. All right, number 2, second story. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are announcing major changes to mortgage financing. That's very important. The new policies reduce the cost you incur if you have a low credit score. These changes are going to take effect May 1st, 2023 for loans that are guaranteed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. All right, additional mortgage changes previously announced include changing criteria for would-be borrowers that are looking to establish credit, also utilizing bank statements to determine your income and balance trends, and also an automated option for lenders so they can document non-traditional credit scores, which is all a good thing. We should tell you that VA loans or jumbo loans from credit unions, they are both exempt from these changes. Those jumbo loans are huge loans. If you're getting one of those, chances are you don't have any financial problems. And if you do, you probably should think about a smaller house. All right. From the nation's capital, the White House is unveiling new tenant protections to make renting more affordable. Now, inflation is down, but why are rents increasing? Greed. And the U.S. is stuck in a huge housing shortfall. Folks, there are 44 million American renter households, and it's hard for them to get a place that's affordable. The president doesn't have the authority to regulate rent nationwide, so what he's doing is releasing a blueprint for a renter's bill of rights. Okay, it highlights the need for clear and fair leases. It gives tenants the right to organize, and it also gives tenants eviction, prevention, and diversion principles, which we know the landlords need desperately. The Federal Trade Commission and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau are also involved. Now, that Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is looking at ways to hold background check companies accountable to ensure accuracy in credit reporting systems. Those are your financial stories. Stay with me.
I'm just sick and tired of us not spending time together lately.
No, baby. I'm sorry I ain't been spending time with you. I've been working on this big deal. It's gonna bring a lot more money to the household for us.
What you doing here, boss? Yeah, just checking to see if you still got it. You take this work. You partner. I don't want it back. I've seen the movies, man. I know how this goes. You see the movies, huh? You see Goodfellas, New Jack City. Everything I do is for you. Like, I just need a little bit more time, man. Fine bullshit. Like I said, he's gonna call any second. Why don't you take a look at this video? Guess what? It's starring you.
Welcome. This is the end of our show and hopefully the beginning of the lengthening of your life if you're listening to Dr. K. Welcome, Dr. K.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. You know, it is now Heart Health Month, but I had to interrupt because a very important study came out today. It was reported in the Washington Post, CNN. The study was done in London, and they followed what people ate from 2009 until 2012. Then they followed their lives for 10 years, and they found out that the people who ate the most what's called ultra-processed foods had a very increased incidence of being diagnosed with cancer and dying from cancer. And the most glaring cancer in the study was ovarian cancer. These participants were between the ages of 40 and 69, and they found out the people that ate the most ultra-processed foods were the younger patients. The people did not have a family history of cancer, and lo and behold, they were diagnosed with cancer. Ultra-processed foods are the middle aisle. They are the hot dogs. They are the crackers, the baked goods, the juices, the sodas. Once you leave that produce aisle, you are truly in illness zone, and every bit of data corroborates it. Not only was the incidence of ovarian cancer higher, but so was the death rate. Another very significant cancer was breast cancer, lung cancer, brain cancer, and lymphoma. It is vitally important that we make our meals from the produce aisle. And I have some produce here on the table, and I want to show that sometimes the produce aisle can be packaged food, blueberries, certain types of oranges, but the studies have shown that it's actually better to eat that food than it is to eat the crackers and the hot dogs and the baked goods and things like that. They did not say why this was a fact. In other words, it could be the packaging, it could be contaminants, it could be the food additives. So they don't know exactly what it is,
but they know it's something.
It's a fact, yes. And the thing is, people have to understand the American food companies are very wealthy. They have great advertising, but people, we have to eat from the produce aisle for our longevity.
Wait, it's so interesting, Dr. K, and I hope people are hearing you, because I do have one quick question, and we only have about 5 seconds left. What about the baby food?
It's in the produce aisle, people. It's in the produce aisle. That's all I can say. So I would make my own baby food in this day and age.
Wow. And we know that, listen, folks, if you think corporate America cares about whether or not you get lymphoma, breast cancer, uterine cancer, whatever, they don't. As long as you paid them all along the way, they're good.
They're good. And baby food has to be preserved. Spinach does not live on a shelf. Yeah. Let's face it. Yeah. So I would count baby food in there.
That's a mess. All right. Thank you, Dr. K.
Yeah.
All right, now, 2023 is your turn. Lengthen
Yes.
your life. I'm Carol Angela Davis. This has been Dr. K.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll see you next week on Impact News. And from all of us here at Impact News, we'll see you next week with more important information that A, increases your longevity, and B, just gets you understand exactly what's going on out here so there is no confusion. See you next week.
Thanks.